in the midst of all the pressure we may have from society and media, how do we find our authentic self, and how do we know who that person really is? I'm here with Jimanekia from SewJim, SEWJIM.com, and I'm Cathy Bertulli from theintimacydojo.com. And I'm really glad to have you here because I love that. I mean, you're doing this work. You're walking the walk, and I really like who you are in the world. So,
thanks.
Yeah. And there is a lot of pressure. There's a lot of that's okay. That authentic self's okay, but really it'd be better if you tweaked it up here, or I've had people say, well, if you just wore a little more makeup or lost weight or acted differently. And I'm like, I'm open for upgrades, but some of that's just who I am. Like, I like being self-expressed in that way at this time in my life. So sorry, you're not going to get what you want.
I like to tell those people to suck it.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that you continuously work on.
Yeah. I
don't think there's like a checklist that you're like, I've done all the things. It's me now.
I've reached the finish line like we were talking about in the other video.
Yeah, I think, and I like to say that my body evolves. Instead of saying I've struggled with eating disorders since I was like 12 and like dealing with that kind of stuff, and so authentically I'd wake up and be like, ugh, this is it.
Yeah.
Outside, I'm like 120 pounds. People are like, oh no, you're sick. In my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat. But working on the authentic self after I tell everyone to suck it, it's a journey that I continuously am on.
Yeah.
And I think evolving as a human being, because we get older and things around us change, I think that's something that people need to know, and so they don't feel like they're not making it.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of the healing helix, but also the helix where we're maybe passing through the same things more over and over and seeing ourselves from different perspectives, and also like going deeper. Like, oh wow, I thought I had this, but there are some areas that I have some, and even like the trauma healing I'm doing for myself, I have done so much work and I really thought I had it handled, and I found some other pockets, and I'm like, damn it. I thought it crossed the finish. I thought it was done. I could check it off, but we grow, we change, we see things from different avenues. And I like Reed's analogy that if you're driving a car that's out of alignment, your tires are out of alignment. If you're going 5 miles an hour, you may not notice. You're only driving to the grocery store once a week, a couple miles, going slow. But if you start going on the freeway and going fast, it really shows up. So when we're out of alignment with who we are, as we grow and we challenge ourselves to do bigger and better things, we're going to notice that a lot more.
Yeah, and it's hard because, again, we've been, throughout life, you're forced to be looking at like, oh, well, this is how you should look.
Yeah.
And so you're trying to chase this imaginary person, and you're not doing the things that make you happy. You're not doing the things that make you feel seen or fulfilled. And that's how you're not reaching your goal. Like here, if you want to set a goal, you're way over here running down the street.
Yeah.
Chasing something that's not real.
Yeah.
And authentically, everyone is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people forget that, and that it's okay to be different.
Well, I think there's a lot of pressure because, media is constantly telling us if we look a certain way, we're going to be happy. We're going to have all these people flocking to us. Finances won't be a problem. Our bosses will love us. Our farts won't stink. And that's not true. It's just not. And they say that there's been studies showing like 70% of all 10-year-old girls are already dieting. Okay, so before they have the experience to evaluate who they are or what they want to be in the world, they're already inundated with, I must look like this. And I think that, unfortunately, does a disservice to people on both sides. So if you fit kind of what that looks like, all of a sudden, if you have a bad day, which we all do, or you're like, things are not fun all the time, it's like, wow, there's something wrong, there's shame. And then if you don't look like that, it's like, wow, I'm never going to have any of those things, which is not true either.
Yeah, and we're constantly worried about like what other people think about us. I think around 25 or 26 for me, I was tired of trying to fit into these boxes and what everyone thought. And once I gave myself permission to be like, you know what, sometimes you mess up. Let's figure out like what you want to do and stop trying to do things for other people. I felt like weight off my shoulders.
Well, that's wonderful.
Once you give yourself that permission to be like, look, you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
Totally cool. And you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
look at there.
Yeah, and it's okay to be reminded. There's times when like things are going really well for a little while for me, and then I forget that, and then life tends to remind me, or a friend goes, it's okay. It's not a. We don't have to have. I mean, the people on TV have had rehearsals and scripts, and people that cut and retake it. There's no retakes in life.
No, you get one, and it's okay if you trip.
Yeah. When you're working with your clients, what kind of things do you tell them if they're struggling to find their authentic self? What are the best couple tips you could give someone who's like, wow, I don't know who that is, or I want to go deeper with that?
Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the person, and I like to kind of maneuver through because everyone receives things differently, and some people like to be asked questions. So I'd be like, okay, well, what does that look like for you?
Yeah.
If you could draw yourself, what would that look like? Or if you could make out like a plan, or just have them sit down and write down all the things they love about themselves.
I love that. And in fact, I have something called the self-love game on the intimacydojo.com/self-love-game. And it actually it's like a worksheet where you get to figure out what kind of things would I do to love myself. And then you give yourself points and you try to get 10 points a day. And I found it really helpful because it helped me discover things. I could take care of myself and love myself in ways that felt good with me. I didn't have to do it according to someone else's. Like someone else might be, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and I'm like, can I put my eyes out now? Like, not gonna happen.
I'm allergic to that.
Yeah. Okay, but I can there's other things. I can go for a walk with a friend. That's fun. Yeah. Or I can, what are other things I can do to help my body and my being feel cared about? So
yeah, I think it's also important, like when working with authentic self or working with trauma survivors, is meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
And like sit down and be like, what does self-care look like for you? Because most people are like, what is that?
Yeah.
I'm allowed to care about myself. Once you kind of get their mind focused on loving themselves and seeing where they are, that they can even meet themselves.
Yeah.
I think that opens like a whole different door in conversation. People are like, oh, yeah, I'm allowed to take care of myself and love myself and do the things I want. And they're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. So no one ever told me, can we come back and do a video and go a little deeper on that? Because I think it's a really important topic for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks so much, Jimanekia. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We'd love to know what you think.